Donald Trump is actually on the campaign trail. And you know where he's campaigning now? Logan Paul's bedroom. Yep, that's right. Donald Trump actually scored an exclusive interview with exactly his fan base, white boys from Ohio.
Trump, if you can hear us, please, Donald Trump, please save me.
Biden is just so bad. He's the worst president in the history of our country.
You should make.
It's so funny because Trump right now sounds like AI Trump. He's talking like, remember when those AI voice when those AI voice memes came out? He's talking the exact same as those entry-level AI voice memes. It's so funny because he's so old now. He sounds exactly like them, right?
Make a diss track on him.
Yeah, we'll do something.
Do you think that you're starting to soften your views on some of the networks that you may have not gotten along with in the past?
No, they're fake news.
You had a street fight this past week.
And how did it work out?
How you think, Mr. President?
I think you probably did pretty good. I've watched enough of you fighting.
Unidentified aerial phenomena in the sky. We don't know what they are. Do you?
It's very possible. Really powerful stuff. AI. They made a commercial, me promoting a product, and it wasn't me. And I said, did I make that commercial?
Rat beefs. Big rat beef just happened.
No, he's too old now. He doesn't even know. Can you imagine if he's like, who's Drake?
How are you, boss?
How's your brother? Good?
Yeah, he's excellent.
You have a good relationship with him, right?
With Jake?
Yeah.
We do now. But it's not always been like that.
It's always been, yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, after Drake was accused of sexually assaulting that woman, their relationship, their bond got a lot tighter. So I'm happy for them.
Brother. Yeah, it's good.
It's good.
Taylor Tyson, we got.
Yeah, right?
Who you got?
When is that gonna be?
November. It got rescheduled.
Well, look, Mike was fantastic, but, you know, Mike's a little older now.
Yeah.
And you guys can fight.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that, but you guys can really fight, legitimately fight.
Thank you, sir.
At first I said, it's so amazing because I always thought like a UFC guy or a top, even contender would.
Oh, nah, he's rambling, man.
Years old.
You think?
But it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy?
That's amazing.
And it sells. Well, Elvis.
No way.
Should we put him on?
So Trump gifted them with shirts of his face on it. This is the Georgia election fraud case mugshot. Never surrender. Yeah, we're definitely going to be wearing those, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. Anyways, I guess let's start with the conviction. Let's hit it.
Well, Mr. President, people surely love it. They love the picture. They rallied behind it. They're rallying behind you now.
Yeah, of course.
More than ever.
And we have
Of course.
the biggest fundraising, I think, ever for any candidate ever anywhere in the world in the last 8 or 9 days. Hundreds of millions of dollars, and too bad it couldn't have been done for other reasons, but they viewed the case as being so corrupt and so ridiculous. Every one of the legal pundits, and, they're great guys. When you look at Dershowitz, the whole group, that whole group of people, Andy McCarthy, Jonathan Turley, Greg Jarrett, every one of them, they came out and they said, there's not even a case here. There's no case. And when they saw the jury instructions, when they saw all the things that happened, and it's not like anybody's a friend of mine, Mark.
The Dersh. Yeah, it's not the first time that two of Epstein's old friends have been on the same page about something. See, I can imagine both Trump and the Dersh feel certain ways about this case. I've seen a lot of cope about this, specifically about Donald Trump having so much support after his conviction. There were some back and forth polls directly after the conviction, but we know now for a definitive fact that his conviction did not help him. And in many polls, it shows it hurting him. He's only lost support since his conviction. We just know that, right? Whether the conviction actually changed a bunch of people's minds and now they don't want to vote for him, what we know is that the vibe is changing around Donald Trump, and it's not in a positive way. It's not in a positive way. Like we talked about earlier, in average polling, Biden now leads Trump in Michigan, and he's getting a lot closer in the other Rust Belt states as well, including Arizona, which is not a Rust Belt state. That's a Sun Belt state. We love that. So yeah, not helping him, not at all. And I think they might be lying about those fundraising numbers, but once again, we'll see if the fundraising numbers are a lie. We'll see.
They couldn't believe
He's still down when it
So
comes to
unfair.
money
You know, it's a
compared
very
to
unfair thing.
Biden.
And because of that, the fundraising numbers and the polls, but the fundraising, that's sort of like a poll anyway, right? When you get
Yeah, of course.
But the fundraising numbers went, I don't think there's ever been that much money raised that quickly.
You've become a martyr of
Hundreds
sorts.
of millions of
Yeah, it's
dollars.
insane. $140 million in May that you raised.
35 million in just hours after the verdict.
Yeah, 58 million within a few hours, and that was in small donations, like $71 something average. And over a period of a week, we even went to San Francisco. Now, not supposed to be. That's the belly of the beast, right?
Rare
Supposedly.
visit.
But they had thousands of people on the street. It was so positive, and they raised $12 million. The tech guys at one of the houses, David, fantastic people, and they were like they gave me a lot of money. They've never been into doing that, and I think it helps that Biden is just so bad. He is so bad. He is the worst president in the history of our country.
So true.
that helps too.
You should make a diss track on him.
Yeah, we'll do something. We'll do something.
I actually wanted to
That'll bump him back in the polls. A diss track, finally, like a real YouTuber.
start there.
Go ahead.
Maybe if he
There's
loses
one thing that I
2024,
was-
he can pivot into being a
I just can't seem to wrap my head
YouTuber. It'd be
around
crazy.
these, you know, you got these felony convictions and a lot of them, like more than Al Capone, right? And there was an uprising and people showed you their support with their donations. And a lot of people are saying it points out that actually the unjust nature of America's justice system. So
very unjust.
my question is, like, if that is your belief, if that is their belief, why do you have the desire to give your time and energy to a country or a system that's trying to take you down?
So I ran twice. I did much better the second time than the first time. And if I didn't, I wouldn't have done this. But we had it going like this country has never been going before. It was really good. Now it's really bad. The worst border in history, the worst inflation, I think, in history. I think the history of the country, the people are getting decimated by it. All very flex, all something you can fix. You can fix it fast. We were energy independent. We're going to be energy dominant very soon. All these things were happening. And then we had a terrible result in an election. And what happened was disgraceful, and we can't ever let it happen again. But we have a little expression. It's right on that hat: "Make America Great Again," and we can do that. Make America great again. And this guy is not going to do it. This guy has destroyed our country.
I don't know. It's just normal Trump rambling. It's just normal Trump babbling, honestly. But I mean, to touch on this a little bit, we've said it before. Donald Trump's only passed like one piece of policy when he was in office. One piece of legislation when he was in office. He wasn't able to get almost any of his policy proposals done in Congress at all. He takes credit for bills that wasn't even his bills, bills that he sponsored or anything. They just came up on his desk and he was like, okay, I'll sign it. Like the criminal justice reform bill that went through. Anybody would have signed that. I was expecting him not to sign it actually, but he did. And I think that's a good thing. But that's not his policy. He wasn't able to repeal and place Obamacare. He wasn't able to build the wall. Joe Biden has actually built more wall than Donald Trump has. Funny enough, it's not funny actually. From people who actually care about this, but for the Democrats who just don't really care about it and will flip flop anything depending on if a red or a blue candidate is doing something, then they're loving it, right? They're having the time of their lives. So yes, hilarious. For Trump's perspective, genuinely hilarious, right? It's a bit stupid. Obama also built more wall than too, right? His tax cuts, his fake tax cuts that shot up the tax rate on people making less than $70,000 a year that he passed. That was the only piece of legislation that he actually passed. That tax cut bill actually increased taxes on people making less than $70,000 a year after the sunset period for those tax cuts ended. After 2020, which helped lead to inflation a bit too. His tariffs were genuinely ass. Drove up the cost, the price of everything. We're still energy independent. We talked about it the other day. Joe Biden actually made a profit by selling. Joe Biden actually made a profit and broke OPEC by selling off a large chunk of our oil reserves when oil was at a really high price earlier in the year, and then bought it back after flooding the entire world's oil market, forcing OPEC to drop their prices, and now is buying the oil back at a discount, making the federal government like $500 million. Right. So he's actually making the government money, while Donald Trump ran up record breaking the worst deficit spending that anybody has ever seen, that any presidency has ever done, kind of period, after clowning on Obama for running up the deficit, for trying to save the United States from the 2008 financial crisis. Yeah, Donald Trump's presidency was just ass. And it's the classic problem of Republicans destroy the economy, and then leave. Republicans destroy the economy and then leave office a year into the next Democrat presidency's into the next Democratic presidency. The problems for everything that the Republican presidency did come back. People blame the Democrat for it, and then they lose the midterms. That's kind of just how it works. And when Republicans come into office, they do the things that they do some of the things that they actually campaigned on, and people are like, wow, my life is worse because this Republican was able to do so many terrible things, and then they lose the midterm. That's usually how that works.
When you allow 15, 16, 17, they have no idea what the gotaways. Million people coming out of jails, coming out of mental institutions, insane asylum.
Actually, 35 billion people were
asylums all
let
over
out of
the
jail.
world. The mental institutions, they're at the lowest levels. They've been at it for years. They're going to be totally empty. And you have terrorists coming into our country. We're going to be paying a big price.
50 million. Why not? Yeah, when all the Democratic cities let out all of the prisoners, we actually now have a higher population than China. We have over 30 billion people in we have 30 billion people in the United States now because because the Democrats let out Arkham Asylum, and now we're all scared.
Solve the problem.
We're all scared for our lives.
Relatively quickly. But
why is his ear so oily?
Too, with energy, with inflation. He's been a disaster as a president. He's the worst president we've ever had. The good news is he makes Jimmy Carter look brilliant by comparison. So Jimmy Carter's the only one that's happy with this.
Well, look, I think that's why a lot of people are so obsessed with you, Mr. Trump, Mr. President Trump. Well, because you're already a billionaire, right? You are essentially serving these people, and you don't have to be doing it. The president, being the president, seems like a very hard job. You were at 3 meetings just before this, but I guess I'm asking, like, the desire to run and attempt to improve your country for these things you're saying.
Yeah.
It comes from what? Just the love of the country?
Well, the people, I'll tell you, when you look at the people, when you look at the crowds, I did a rally in New Jersey. We had 107,000 people there. You saw that last week. We did one in the Bronx. We had 25,000 people. And this was in the South Bronx, which is known as a rough area. And it was like a love fest. There was not even nobody even raised a voice of dissent. The whole place, it was like a big love fest. Nobody could believe it. You saw that 3-4 weeks ago. There's our country has tremendous potential, but it's going down the tubes very, very rapidly. Nobody has ever seen anything like it, the way it's being run.
Things are bad. They're down. I went to the bathroom earlier and I flushed the toilet. And when I sat up and saw the toilet water go down the drain, I'm like, that's the country. And it's bad. It's really bad. It used to be good, really good, but now it's not. It's so not that it's actually the opposite of good. It's bad. And he's letting like millions and millions of things go bad, and billions of things are getting worse. And millions of people are coming to me and they're saying, sir, make the country better, sir. And I'm like, I can, I will, I did, and I will again. He's so good at talking. I love this guy. He's so good at talking. I see why people love this guy now.
And we can change it. We can change it quickly. We have a debate coming up. That'll be interesting.
We'll do quick changing.
Hosted by one of your favorite television networks, CNN.
Well, they gave me the option. They said, would you do it? And they didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it. So they gave me everything. Fake Tapper and lots of other people that were going to...
Wasn't it Trump who tried to wiggle out of this debate?
On CNN.
He won at a later debate, and Biden pushed the debate up, actually.
We should stand, and I think we won that point. But I would have agreed to whatever I had to agree to because they didn't want to do it. They thought that I wouldn't do it because it's CNN, but I've done plenty of CNN. I did a town hall not so long ago with CNN that worked out well. But I think they'll be fair. I think they're going to try and be fair. I mean, as fair as they can be. But I think it's important for there to be a debate. So they said, "You want to debate?" "Yep, I'll accept. You don't even have to tell me." Then they said CNN. They said the different people that are involved. But let's see what happens. I used to get along with Jake Tapper. We'll see what happens. But it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, it is.
That sentiment that CNN might be.
It is what it is.
They might be.
Is a bit of a departure
I'd
from
say
your
a good
normal
10% chance.
from your normal hardline stance. Do you think that you're starting to come around or soften your views on some of the networks that you may have not gotten along with?
CNN's taken a rightward drift for a while, so
Fake news.
he's probably fine.
No, they're so bad. One of the good terms, right? Fake news. But no, I don't think so. I thought maybe, I had one with Caitlin Collins about 4 or 5 months ago. It was one of the highest rated shows they've ever had. And I really thought that
portrait. Yeah, the portrait's giga cringe. It's so funny. I think this is Mar-a-Lago, if I remember correctly. This should be Mar-a-Lago. But yes, that's a picture of him when he was super cool and young. That was definitely what he looked like back then. That's definitely what he looked like. And the boats his family came in from Ireland back in the day. It looks like a set. Everything Trump buys looks like a set because he's a living cartoon character. That's just my opinion.
I'm going to go maybe sort of in the middle, but I was wrong about. As I'm getting on and I'm hearing the way I'm being announced, they said, "Hey, these people are playing hardball. They're making a big mistake." But the ratings for this debate, I guess, will be quite good.
Massive.
I was still thinking about ratings.
Decision to face to face with you.
You mean the fact that they're willing to do it?
That Biden's willing
a little
to do
bit. They didn't want to do it. They thought I turned CNN down. Look, CNN is the enemy, and they thought I was going to turn CNN. And Tapper is, one of the guys that. When I'm making a speech, so. They're waiting for the nomination.
Oh, no, he's locked in. He's sat up.
I got it in the quickest fashion. Nobody's ever gotten a nomination so quickly. And I'm making my nomination speech, and they refuse to put it. They're covering it for months and months. Now I'm actually making my speech. I mean, this is the
Jake
big
Tapper,
night.
more like
I won
fake
the
crackers. So
nomination,
true.
And they refuse to put it on. These are people that don't like Trump. But it's okay, because I think it's important to have a debate, or a number of debates, actually.
The fact that you are so vocal as well, especially on social media, I think works in your favor.
Oh, really?
Personally, I like that you come with receipts.
Really?
Sometimes,
Yeah,
I've seen you pull them out of your,
No, I
your
understand.
jacket. Will you have receipts?
I like to do it.
Well, fact checking's fun.
Yeah, I know. We'll check. We're gonna check a lot of things. It's going to be an interesting. You will be watching, right?
I'll be watching.
We just don't want to schedule it around one of your fights.
I think it's going to be good.
You do pretty well.
Thanks. I'll be watching. Yeah, I always see you.
Yeah, Trump talking a lot. When Trump's running his mouth, he's definitely does better. I think that's a little funny because Donald Trump was doing a whole lot better at the beginning of the year, and I think a lot of it was because he wasn't even running his campaign yet. Like, a lot of people didn't really think about it, but Donald Trump didn't run a campaign earlier in this year until I think April. Donald Trump wasn't running really. He was just kind of chilling at Mar-a-Lago. He was golfing, but he wasn't doing much actually running for president. He wasn't really doing interviews. Yeah, he wasn't really doing interviews. He wasn't really, he wasn't doing campaigns, or anything. He was really just big chilling, all the way up until about April. And then he started to do more campaigns and do more campaign stops and solicit more donations and all those things. And he's actually pretty far behind in a lot of really important states, because he was big chilling like that, beforehand. And the thing is that Donald Trump was polling way better when he wasn't talking. And I think that's really going to be Donald Trump's downfall this election, is because he's like, you're vocal, and I think that really helps you. No, it doesn't. When Donald Trump opens his mouth, he loses support. He loses support. He has more support now because people remember what Donald Trump was, and they remember that inflation wasn't as bad before Donald Trump left office. But now that he's talking and he's talking about invading Mexico and invading China, possibly, and like getting rid of the income tax, but replacing it with a massive tariff on everything that comes into the country instead. just taxing you at the register instead of in February on tax day. Yeah, a lot of people are starting to think that this guy wasn't cooking at all. Actually, he actually had no sauce. He burned the pan. He has no sauce. So yeah, I think since he's been running, he's only lost support. Really, Joe Biden's only started to make gains on him. And I think that trend's probably going to continue because the more people remember what Trump was, and no longer just think about how there are problems today, the more they're going to be like, yeah, I don't think this Trump guy should be president. Should be the president again. I don't think that's the case. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe Donald Trump will. It will be a Tim Pool 50 state landslide.
I want to know.
Okay.
Yeah.
50 state landslide.
You are both good. Do you ever fight him?
Thank you.
You're a
not
good boy.
real life,
You
no.
practiced a little bit.
Never.
With him, right?
We've never even sparred.
Really?
We don't know. I think
Well, did you beat him up your whole life?
I
growing
didn't.
up?
I punched him in the face once because he took my glasses. But I was willing to step in for Mike Tyson when Tyson got sick and had to postpone his fight. And we actually ran it up the chain at Netflix.
It's hard for brothers to fight, though. I think it's hard.
Not on
I've seen it
Netflix
over
for
the
a
years,
big
you know.
old bag.
Yeah,
Figure
there
it
have
out
been
once and
some,
for
though.
all.
I think it's. You don't think so? You love your brother.
Well, me and Jake decided that obviously, we both come from a place of love, and whatever the outcome would be, we'd have to be okay with it.
Yeah, there's Prime everywhere.
the shots
I
to
think
the
I
face.
think he keeps a bottle of Prime up his ass. Honestly,
for the rest,
just
of
in case.
history,
That's his
that
hammer
night goes
space.
down forever.
He pulls it out like a
Klitschko
cartoon
brothers never
character.
Did it.
No, they never
Just reaches
did it. And
behind
they
him,
were
full
both
pack of
good.
Prime.
They
Yeah.
never did it. They were very good. But in fact, nobody really figured out maybe who was better. They had some good fights. They were tough, right?
Yeah.
They
Well,
were tough.
Jake's tough and he's good, but I'm
He's-
1-0.
he's very good, and you're very good.
Thanks.
He had a street fight this past week.
Okay, we're gonna skip this loser bullshit. So we're gonna move forward a little bit. Vladimir Putin friendship, Russia versus Ukraine war.
Speaking of conflict and fighting, since you left office, the number of global conflicts has skyrocketed. And I
Yeah,
know
it's
Khabib
terrible.
talked to you about it quickly when you spoke with him. I think 2 weeks ago about President Biden authorized the use of American weapons in Russia, which has now led to a fleet of Russian warships coming towards Cuba this week. What are your thoughts and concerns around our current handling of our relationship with Russia?
Well, the Russian attack on Ukraine would have never happened if I.
I'm so
it would
strong.
have never happened.
I would have swung my dick
It's
so
just a
hard,
shame.
Putin would have gotten
So
scared
many
and he
dead
would have
people.
pulled out
You
instantly.
look at just the soldiers.
Unlike me,
it's
I never pull
500,000
out.
Soldiers between the both countries, but so many dead people, so many towns and villages and buildings and all. I mean, magnificent culture just being wiped out. You okay over there?
Stuff's falling
Yes,
over.
sounds good. Nice book, by the way. Nice book.
That's
We'll
his
get to
book.
that.
That's his book
Come on,
about,
yeah,
about
let's
overcoming drug
promote it.
addiction.
It's a
gotta make
bestseller about the opiate epidemic, which
Oh,
we'll
that's
talk
good.
about.
Wow,
after.
that's a great topic because it's so sad to see what's happening. So
true.
bad.
Yeah,
But,
what did you do for
It's a shame.
people
because it
suffering
never
from
would have happened.
opioid addiction?
And it didn't happen during my 4 years. It didn't happen. It wouldn't have happened. I got along very well with Putin. I got along with Zelensky, but it wouldn't have happened. And
I don't think he's ever going to get checked on this because I don't really think that I've never heard him get checked on this. I've never heard somebody from mainstream media check him on this, but it's a point that is so important to this conversation when he tries to suck himself off and say that he never would have invaded. He never would. Nobody ever would have invaded. I would have just held the world together in my bare hands. Sleepy Joe's too sleepy to do that. One of the big reasons for why Putin thought it was going to be good for him, a good time for him to invade Ukraine, was specifically because Donald Trump removed federal defense funding from Ukraine because he wouldn't give them dirt on Joe Biden and Biden's and Hunter Biden's business dealings when it comes to Ukraine. That's specifically why. Ukraine got weakened on the world stage, and they didn't have the same resources that they did or support. So Putin thought it would be a good idea to do that. I don't think he's ever going to get checked on this because nobody who talks to him cares about actually pressing him on anything. I hope one day it finally happens because he's been blabbering on about this for the last 4 years, and it's the dumbest point ever. It's the absolute dumbest point ever. What do you mean that actually both of these conflicts have origin in his presidency. He weakened Ukraine by removing their defense funding for not giving him dirt in trying to blackmail them by not for not giving him dirt on Hunter Biden. And also, when he was in office, he moved the Israeli embassy into Jerusalem, the contested area in Jerusalem, and backed Netanyahu's push to make the basically capital of Israel, Jerusalem, and secure all of Jerusalem from the West Bank, even though they're supposed to be splitting it in half. And that was one of the stated reasons for why Hamas did their attack. He is actually one of the big reasons for why we have war around the world right now, and coming back around, inflation and supply chain issues and oil issues, and also climate. Israel's war on Gaza has exacerbated greenhouse gas emissions with how much gas they're burning and how many bombs they're blowing up and how many chemicals they're putting into the water. In the Mediterranean seas, water quality has dropped because of Israel. Like it's all his fault. He's just a piece of shit. But obviously, since he didn't win re-election, all those things happened under a different guy, so he's going to blame
and
that guy instead.
October 7th would have never happened. And
actually, 9/11 wouldn't have happened if he was president.
Never happened, and the withdrawal, the kind of withdrawal we were getting out of Afghanistan with dignity and strength, but to get out the way, I think it was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country. And I actually think that the way Afghanistan worked, I think that when Putin looked at that, he said, "Wow, let's go in." And you know who else looked at it? President Xi of China. And he is looking at Taiwan, and he's drooling over Taiwan. And so something could happen there. We've lost a lot of respect. They're laughing at us all over the world, and that wasn't happening 4 years ago.
And with you back in office, you think we'll get that respect back?
Yeah, we'll get it back.
What's your relationship like with Vladimir Putin?
I think very good, but I was tough with him. I ended the pipeline.
You know what's funny is that this whole time he's been holding a bottle of Prime. What you've never seen is him actually taking a sip out of it. You know he doesn't drink that shit. You know he really don't drink that shit. He does not drink Prime. Nobody drinks Prime anymore, okay? Not even the kids are drinking Prime these days.
He built, it's called Nord Stream 2. Nobody ever heard of Nord Stream 2 until I got involved. And it was the biggest project ever done in Russia. I mean,
pipelines didn't even exist until Donald Trump got in office, man.
Oil and gas to all over Europe, Germany in particular. And I said, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this to Germany?" I said, "We're defending you under NATO, and you're paying billions of dollars a month to Russia. You mean we're defending you, and you're giving the people we're defending you from, we're giving you the defense, but you're giving them money at massive amounts." Probably the biggest project, most important, one of the most important projects they've ever done. I ended it. It was dead. It was gone. And then
it's true. He also funded he also wrote up how the withdrawal would happen from Afghanistan, and it was going to be even worse. Joe Biden had to push it back to get a better plan to get people out of Afghanistan. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's not like we weren't expecting him to just lie all through this.
Comes in and he approves it, but he kills Keystone. The Keystone XL.
Yep.
Keystone Pipeline.
So
yes, thankfully, it is done.
But Putin said to me, "It's the biggest thing. You ended it. You ended the pipeline." He said, "They all say you and I are friendly, but I'd hate to see you as an enemy." But this was the biggest,
okay, buddy.
Massive amounts of money and everything.
But that's how you
But
talk to him
Biden
like
came
that?
in, huh?
You talk to him like that?
Oh, no, I had a very good relationship. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. And I'm trying to tell people, no, it's a good thing. They've got, I would give you the exact number, but they gave a lot. Just under 2,000 nuclear weapons, and we do also. And when you have nuclear weapons, and even if you don't have nuclear weapons, getting along is
took a swig?
be the tough one, be the smart. Nuclear 2,000 nuclear weapons, and we do also. And when you have nuclear weapons, and even if you don't have
If you hear that noise he made after he took a sip, he was like, "Oh."
nuclear weapons, getting along. And when you have nuclear weapons, and even if you don't have nuclear weapons, getting along is good, but be the tough one, be the smart one, get along is good. I tell the press all the time, no, the fact that I get along with Kim Jong-un North Korea.
That's crazy.
President Xi.
That's crazy.
It's all good stuff getting along, but
Yeah, she loves him.
nobody ever took money
course.
out of China like me. I took hundreds of billions of dollars out in the form of tariffs and taxes. No other president took in not 10 cents.
What do you mean you took money out of China? Yeah, he still doesn't know how taxes work. He doesn't know how tariffs and taxes work. I thought somebody would tell him, but I don't think they have the heart to tell him these days anymore. just in case you remember, a tariff is a tax on something coming into the country. So when China sends denim into the United States, you pay a tariff tax on the denim because America doesn't want you to buy Chinese denim. They want to make it more expensive. You pay more money when tariffs are in action. It's not China doesn't pay that tax. You can't tax China.
And China built their military because of the United States. The United States was giving them hundreds of billions of dollars a year in excess flow. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. But we took out hundreds of billions of dollars from China. And I still got along with President Xi until COVID. That was a breaking point. But no, but he was a guy that I respected. He liked me and I liked him. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. The press says, "Oh, isn't it?" You say, "Yeah, he's a leader. He's a smart guy." They say, "Smart man." They say, "Oh, Trump said he was smart." He leads 1.4 billion people. It's a little bit on the smart side. But I got along with him. I got along with Kim Jong-un. That would have been a nuclear war. If Hillary Clinton had gotten in office, we would have been in a nuclear war with North Korea. He was ready for it.
Of course.
When I was with him, nobody else could meet him. All of a sudden, the dam broke, and we started talking a little bit.
Yeah, we would be in a nuclear war if Clinton was in office. That's why we almost got into a regional war with Iran. That's why he decided to blow up the Iranian nuclear deal, allowing Iran to have unrestricted access to be able to make nuclear grade uranium without any international oversight at all. That's why he did a really good job there. Yeah, great.
Together, as you know, twice. Get along very well. But
remember, people were talking about World War III when he was president,
and we were in serious danger before I got there. I'm telling you, you would have had a nuclear war if Hillary Clinton got in.
I'm so curious, what this conversation with really powerful world leaders looks like behind closed doors. Is it candid, or do you exercise grace, or you talk like boys?
Everyone's different. No, but everyone's different. It's like when you're talking to people, when you're doing interviews with people, when you're fighting people, they're all different. You fight them a different way, you talk to them a different way, but everyone's different. But I had very good relationships with everyone. The funny thing is I got along with the tough ones much better than I got along with the weak ones. You had some real weak ones too. I didn't get along with them as well. It's strange. Must be a personality.
I don't like weak boys.
It's probably a good thing that you get along with the
I get along with the
leaders
tough
of the
ones.
largest countries.
There's a very tough one, Viktor Orban, and he's the prime minister of Hungary. And he said
basically dictator.
The reason the world is blowing up because Trump isn't president. When Trump was there, everybody respected Trump. He said was afraid of Trump. I don't want to use that term because that's, I don't want to say, oh, they were afraid, like a child would say. But they respected me. But he said everyone listened to Trump. They were afraid of Trump. They couldn't figure Trump out. And they all listened. And they did listen. And we had no wars. We had no nothing. I defeated ISIS, got rid of the biggest terrorists ever, maybe, or just about ever. But we defeated, think of that, we knocked out ISIS, 100% of the ISIS caliphate, and started no wars. I wasn't in any wars. Now, that I don't know how you may feel about that because, you're a warrior, right? Because all fighters, and you're a real fighter, by the way.
It's not good. It's not good. I don't shy away from conflict. My fiance has a problem with it.
Yeah.
It's not good. You're much more diplomatic than I probably would be.
It's very interesting though. So Khabib came up to me after the fight the other night, and you guys would probably, And I think I'd have that war stopped if I was president-elect. Right after the election, if I win, I will get that war stopped. I'll get it stopped fast before I get to office. If it's not stopped before then.
Talking about Russia, Ukraine.
I'm talking about Russia, Ukraine. We'll get it stopped.
On the
so
flip
many
side-
people are being killed. Far more people are being killed. And I thought it was great when Khabib came up to me and he says, we've got to stop all of the killing in the war. He's a very smart guy, very interesting guy. We talked for a while.
I'll stop the war. I mean, that probably just means he's going to try and pull money from Ukraine. But that doesn't mean the war is going to stop. I don't know. Maybe he's going to threaten to bomb Ukraine too.
Flip side, or on the other side of the continent.
But it's not like he's going to give any information about that. It's just the war is going to stop because I'm so cool. And people who love him love that because he's so cool. Of course the war will stop.
The Gaza situation has been
Horrible.
big news over the past year or so. The United States has always been, and you were always a staunch ally of Israel. Has your sentiment on Netanyahu or on his regime changed at all in light of any of the events of the past 6 months?
No, look, it was a shame that it should have never happened. It would have never happened. Iran was broke when I was president. Nobody was allowed to buy oil. Nobody was allowed to buy anything. They were broke. A Democrat congressman on Deface the Nation, the show Deface the Nation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Deface the Nation, yes, commonly known as Face the Nation, but I don't call it that.
Of course.
I think I have a name for everything.
He thinks about everybody a lot.
But it'll be.
I can't wait to hear
No,
mine.
they'll be good names. They'll be good names.
I'll stop the war before I get into office is crazy. I told you, because of course it makes sense he'd stop the war before he got into office. Remember, his argument for why he'd stop wars is because his dick is huge. Nothing about being the president has anything to do with how fat his dick is. Once again, he'll slam his dick down on Putin's desk, on Zelensky's desk, and the war will just stop because they'll be like, holy crap, he's so strong and so cool. I can't war when Donald Trump's around. Thank you, Donald Trump, for stopping war. Of course. So obviously, none of the presidential powers are needed for when you have a dick so huge. A lot of people don't understand that, but yeah, I mean, he could stop it now. He just doesn't really want to.
But so he was on the show and he said, whether you like Trump or not, Iran was broke during Trump's. They would have made a deal within 1 week. And now they have $250 billion. We would have had a deal done literally in 1 week after the election. And it was ready. They were absolutely, and they had no money for Hamas. They had no money for Hezbollah. They were broke, stone cold broke. Now they have $250 billion. Biden.
Yeah. So this is okay. Actually, I'm not privy to all of this. I know this is a huge lie, but I don't know exactly the details of this. The Biden gave money to Iran talking point. Let's see. Let's see. It's October. Let's see. He made a deal with Iran. The backlash to Biden's Iran deal is is fierce. Let's see. The Biden administration's deal to bring imprisoned Americans home from Iran has gained its critics and stirred a fight. The backlash to the agreement, the release of 5 detained Americans in exchange for several imprisoned Iranians, and access to $6 billion in frozen assets for certain humanitarian purposes, comes mainly from conservatives and some on the Iranian and some members of the Iranian American community. The start of the argument made by presidential candidates DeSantis, Mike Pence. Opponents contended that giving the ruling clerics a financial lifeline to boost Tehran while it was weak. A British Australian academic held in Iran for more than 800 days, recently said the funds will incentivize Tehran to take more Westerners. Critics also insist Tehran will use much of the $6 billion to conduct terrorist attacks and target U.S. troops in the region. A Trump-style maximum pressure campaign would be better suited to bring Americans home, they argue. There is no displeasure at the answer from Antony Blinken gave during the news conference last week, asked if there were any wrongfully detained American citizens or residents in Iran. And the top diplomat said he was not aware of any. Critics noted these 2 permanent residents remain in Iranian custody. National Security spokesperson Watson told NatSec Daily that the $6 billion isn't a payment of any kind. These aren't U.S. dollars, and they aren't taxpayer money. No one determined to be wrongfully detained. No one determined to be wrongfully detained in Iran is being left behind. Supporters are weighing in too. To represent the state. The $6 billion can only be used to buy oil and food for people in need. The back and forth is reminiscent of the Obama era debate on whether to enter a 2015 Iranian nuclear deal. The my Iran policy is better than yours. Is better than your Iran policy. Broadsides have grown more vitriolic since Trump withdrew from that deal. Now, this agreement, weeks to implement, which will take weeks to implement, cuts to the complexities of freeing Americans held broadly by adversarial nations. Okay, interesting. So he didn't give money to Iran. It seems like they've unfroze money that was frozen. Unfroze money that was frozen in exchange for prisoners to come back home. You good? She was bugging over there. Sorry, chat. Okay. Yeah, so there it is.
Took off all of the sanctions. He let them go. China went to town. I told China, if you buy 1 barrel of oil from these people, you're not doing any business with the United States. They took a pass, no oil, and other countries
Not
likewise. True. And we would have had a deal. Would have been a great deal for everybody. We would have had a deal. Now they have $250 billion. They made it all in 3 years, 3.5 years. They made it all during this Biden term. I mean, he gave him $6 billion for 5 hostages, right? You saw that recently, a couple of months ago. $6 billion for 5 hostages. He made the swap. The Prince of Terror, they call him. He's the best arms dealer ever, they say. Who knows what that means, but he was a great arms dealer. For the basketball player that wouldn't stand up during the national anthem, she thought that was a good time to tie her sneakers. And that was not exactly the greatest trade, but he gave $6 billion on top of everything. $6 billion with a B, and they don't know what they're doing. And when you do that, you know, when you start paying that kind of money, a lot of other people are going to be missing all of a sudden. They're going to be missing and, hey, let's make a trade. And that's already happening. You just can't do that. I got 58 people out. We never paid any money. 58 people, 58 hostages. We never paid money. Because once you pay money, you're going to be doing a lot. In other words, you're going to keep doing it. So you can't do that.
This episode is sponsored by myself. I want to ask about money. Money in this country.
Wait, he didn't even talk about Gaza. Wait, he didn't Gaza conflict. I thought I was actually going to get something from Trump on this issue. I think he talked for like 10 seconds and then rambled on about something else.
I have a name for everything. China, if you
China,
5 hostages,
Iran.
and
Matt Pieces.
Wait, what did he actually say? This is so funny.
Israel.
it should have never happened. It would have never happened. Iran was broke when I was president. Nobody was.
Oh my gosh, he actually said, "Do you?" He didn't say anything. He didn't say anything this whole time. Oh my gosh, and they just let him go. They just not gonna answer any questions at all. Just he said he saw. Wow, that's crazy. You don't want to have to deal with a certain issue because you know you're going to lose voters. He knows like a lot of his voters are like giga anti-Semitic now, so he can't say that he really wants to support Netanyahu. Sorry, they're going crazy upstairs right now. They're vacuuming like crazy upstairs right now. I don't know why we're vacuuming at 10 p.m. It's buzzing like crazy over here, chat. Can you hear this? Is this getting picked up by the microphone? Sometimes you gotta vacuum, you know? I guess so. I guess sometimes you really gotta vacuum. Yeah, he just said that this hasn't changed my opinion of Netanyahu. It should have never happened. And that's it. That's literally it. In the like 3 minutes they gave him the answer to the question, he just didn't answer anything. He actually didn't say a thing. Man, not being president, it must be so easy because you never actually have to answer any questions if you're Donald Trump. He just has to say that if I was president, it would be better. Next question. If I was president, honestly, if Trump was president, Grimes never would have divorced Elon. If I'm going to be honest with you. If Trump was president, if Trump was president, we would have landed a man on Mars right now. Okay? If Trump was president, he would have fixed global warming because he's going to be tough on the environment. He's going to tell Mother Nature that she can't do that anymore. All right? If Trump was president, sea levels would fall. If Trump was president, Jesus would come back down from heaven because he would then be proud of his creations that he made. No longer would he be disappointed. He'd be proud. No, obviously to the Republicans that all the people in Israel would have to, not make it because, they're the non-believers. But for everybody else, it'd go so crazy. If Trump was president, your crops would grow. Oh, that's all we needed, chat. If Trump was president, I wouldn't have spilled my juice, right? I stubbed my toe earlier, and that wouldn't have happened if Trump was president. Holy shit. We're starting to understand. Ragnarok would have been averted if Trump was president. He would have been tough on the Giants. He would have made a deal that would be tough on the Giants. He will fix it. Don't think too much, Strimmer. You're so right. He just will fix everything. He's so cool.
Was allowed to buy oil. Nobody was allowed to buy anything. They were broke. A Democrat congressman on Deface the Nation, the show Deface the Nation, ladies and gentlemen.
We gotta move forward, man. Advice for people.
I want to ask about money in this country.
Go ahead.
I've had a very fortunate career.
Yeah.
I've made some money. And
more money than you ever thought possible.
For sure.
Right?
For sure.
Yeah, I know.
Absolutely.
I know the kind of money you make because I know when you have a top event or your shows, but these events are doing fantastically.
Yeah.
Excuse me, did you guys start like separately?
Me and Jake?
Yes.
No.
Holy crap.
When this sells right here.
If you make it, I like.
We actually made this. But my question is, for other young people in this country who are looking to get ahead, because for a lot of them, times are tough right now.
It's very tough.
What would you say to them, kids who want to pursue their own version of the American dream and try to achieve their wildest dreams and make it all come true?
I would say very simply, honestly, vote for Trump. Because with Biden, you're never going to do it. This country's going to hell. Vote for Trump. We're doing great with youth. We're doing great with African Americans, with
if I was president, right?
If I was a president,
you'd be a millionaire right now, little boy. You wouldn't still be sitting in your parents' basement dreaming of that $1 billion company idea that you needed to put together. You would have already had it if I was president. I'm just saying. Just vote for me. Please vote for me. You will be a billionaire at the end of my administration. You all will. Everybody will. Of course.
Both of those groups, with women, with men, and with young people, were doing very well. But I say vote for Trump. If you don't have the right guy in the lead, the country's not going to, if the country doesn't do well, it's much harder to do even what you do. Okay, even what you do. So that would be a simple message. I really mean it, actually.
The same opportunities he's had in America I've had as well.
He doesn't, and this is really funny because I think a lot of people think that Donald Trump is going to give some insightful investment, like some incitement. Sorry, like people think that Trump's going to give some insightful investment sort of guru answer when people ask them how to make money, how to like advice for how to get a business. He got a small loan of $1 million from his he got a small loan of $1 million from his dad, and then he inherited the Trump name, and then kind of just ran the company into the ground, really. And so like he has no real business experience. He's never built a business from the ground up. He hasn't had to. He was born rich, and he'll die, probably mostly rich, right? If he doesn't blow the rest of his cash that he has, right? Yeah, like I still think it's curious that people actually still have the idea that Donald Trump is going to give you something interesting when you ask him about how to make money.
Well, my road has been a little bit rockier, as we were talking about in my book, The Fifth Vital. I spent 8 years addicted to heroin, living on the East Coast.
Wow.
In what I considered, I think a lot of people considered.
So you were addicted?
Correct.
Wow.
I think a lot of people consider it to be the great opiate
Let me
epidemic.
see the book. Can I see the book?
Absolutely.
We're gonna make this sucker a best-selling book.
There's a message. There's a message for you.
No, it's such an important.
It's actually
Where's
already
my camera?
it's already a
Go
best-selling
out
book.
and buy this book. It's great.
That was for you, I believe.
I wrote a message to you in there. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to keep it.
Thank you so
But
much.
it's such an important topic. Yeah, seriously, that's so important.
There's a lot of people that are still kind of wrapped up in that world, and I just want to
Yeah.
ask you some questions. In 2023, the DEA seized more than 80 million fentanyl-laced fake pills, 12,000 pounds of fentanyl powder. There's so many people out there on the streets right now without access to resources with mental health care. Rehabilitation centers.
Yeah.
What's your plan to continue to stem the flow of fentanyl into the country, as well as help the people who have already fallen victim to the opiate epidemic?
So when I took over, it was drug infested. When I ran in 2016, I ran on the border. And I fixed the border, and I couldn't even use it in 2020 in the campaign, even though I got millions of more votes than I got the first time. I couldn't talk about the border because I fixed it. And I'd say to my people,
I fixed it. I fixed the border. He fixed the border. Like, he didn't build any wall. You know what? He doesn't talk about the wall anymore, does he? I haven't heard him really bring up the wall. He fixed it. It's fixed. It's done. We did it.
I want to.
Biden unfixed it, though. I
was proud of the job we did. We had it fixed. It was really in good shape. And drugs were at the lowest point in years. And, not only people, drugs, human trafficking, which is such a horrible thing. You think of it as like an ancient kind of a crime, and it's bigger now than ever before because of the internet. The internet has made a lot of these things much bigger than they have ever been. When you think of human trafficking, mostly in women, by the way, people don't know that, mostly in women, where they put them in trunks of cars, they have compartments. It's so horrible. And I had it down to the lowest level, just about, I guess, in recorded times. So what you have to do is you have to be very tough on that. We had a deal on the fentanyl is pouring through. I bought millions of dollars worth of equipment. Believe it or not, they call it sniffing equipment, but believe it or not, the best thing to find it, you can spend millions of dollars on equipment and machinery to find drugs coming through, like, sort of finds it. The best thing is a German Shepherd born in a certain.
Dog,
do you know
sure.
that?
No way.
Oh, they're unbelievable.
Yeah.
They go right to it. It's not even, there is no machine. You spend $2.5 million for machinery. Yeah. and the dog is much better.
More dogs.
And
Yeah, more dogs.
we literally bred those dogs. It's a very specific type of German Shepherd from a certain part of the world. It's the most incredible thing.
Okay.
We worked very, very hard on that. I was with President Xi. It comes from China and it comes in through the southern. So Mexico's it comes through the southern border, and I was with President Xi, and I told you we got along great. You know, the
Fentanyl comes in from China through the Mexican border. Did he just say that? That's where he thinks fentanyl comes from. You see, Xi Jinping, way down deep in the depths of 1,000-year-old Chinese shrines, stirring a big pot of fentanyl that will soon be sent through soon be sent into Arizona to make Kyle addicted to heroin. I can't wait. Listen, dude. That Beijing heroin got me acting unwise. He hates Xi Jinping. It's so funny. It is really funny. Here's one thing. Most of the fentanyl, heroin, like opiates in the country come from the United States. Not as much comes from the border. And when they do come through the border, they usually come through legal ports of entry. When Donald Trump was president, he was contemplating cutting the National Drug Control Policy budget, like the agency that really helps structure drug policy in the country. He wanted to cut that by 94% when he was president. And throughout his entire presidency, opioid deaths only rose. Really, there was only 1 year where opiate deaths fell, and that was actually in 2018. I can show you. Let me bring. Let me show you this. So here, before he got into office, 33,000 people a year died of opioid overdose. In 2016, 42,000 did. In 2017, 47, 46, and 50,000. So at any time when Donald Trump had the ability to start to do actual work in the country, which is mostly these 3 years here, he did not bring opioid overdoses, opioid deaths, opioid addiction down at all. Actually, it only rose under his presidency, and we cracked 50,000 people a year dying of opioid deaths. We went 2 years without a national strategy. Researchers also say fentanyl has continued to spread fast, despite interdiction efforts, contributing to more overdose deaths in the Western United States, where the synthetic opioid had been scarce. In December, the government Accountability Office issued a report blasting the administration for failing to come up with a coherent national opioid strategy as required by law. The ONDCP, the organization that we talked about, did not issue a national drug control strategy for either 2017 or 2018. These years, we had no opioid policy. He just didn't care, dude. So he's gonna talk high about how like he did so well with the opioid pandemic, where with 2 of the 4 years he was in office, they didn't even write any policy. And in 2017, the only reason there was policy written on the books was because that was done by the Obama administration before they left office in January. He just stopped caring. He just actually, well, I don't know. My bad. He's never started caring. He never started caring. He did sign some opioid legislation into office that was accompanied along with some omnibus bills. But once again, those are omnibus bills.
COVID was a step too far as I was concerned, but we got along great. And I said, "Do you have a drug problem?" He said, "No, they give the death penalty in China. If you sell drugs." I said, "I'd like you to give the death penalty to people that are making fentanyl and sending it over to our country." And he was going to do that. And then we had the election result.
Is he making
And of
this
course,
shit up?
Biden never picked up that conversation. I told them about it, but he was going to give the death penalty. If he did that, you would have had this literally stopped, almost stopped. But we have to be very, very strong at the border. This is a plague like, and you know,
I was
the numbers,
almost.
they'd say,
What even is this? He's just making up new bullshit. What is happening? Yes, Shark. Is he doing it do you think he's doing this on the spot or like what's going on here? Now he's saying like, oh yeah, as you see, I was going to get Xi Jinping to execute all the people sending drugs to Mexico that were going to actually go to the United States, but then Joe Biden was too scared to do it, and that's why we have a drug problem now. Okay,
70,000, 80,000. I think it's probably 250 or 300,000. This is like a
what
at the border. This is a plague like.
And then he just brings up the border
and, you know,
instead.
the numbers they'd say 70,000. Giving the maximum penalty, they would not have been sending it. And I had a deal worked out with President Xi, but of course Biden didn't follow up, just like he didn't follow up on the Abraham Accords, which would have been a great thing to do. So we have to be very tough on the border. And that includes drugs as well as people, as well as people not coming in from jails and prisons and, you know, mental institutions, which is happening now at levels that nobody's ever seen before. It's crazy. How can it be good? It's so bad. And I guess they're either stupid, which they're not, they hate our country, or they want to get these people for votes. A lot of people think that's the thing. They want to get them for votes. But the destruction, the damage that Biden's done to our country by having 16, 17 million people already in, you know, it's much more than they say. It's probably 17. It could be even higher than that in our country. And these are not people that are going to make America great again. These are people that have a lot of issues. And we're going to have a lot of issues as long as they're here.
S-tier waffling.
And we're going to get them out. We have to get them.
Just so you know,
Mr. President, I got the 10-minute.
Just so you know, that was supposed to be him answering a question on what he would do when it comes to drug policy. And the answer seems to be kind of nothing.
Warning from the team, which is now 8-minute.
Let's let him go a little longer. It's fine. I like it. Is that okay? Yeah, let him go a little bit longer, okay? So look at these two guys. And then it'll turn out to be a lousy show, and I'll say, you were right, Jason. It'll be good. So go for another 20 minutes. Is that all right? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Jason.
It seems to be a nice flow. Right? Let's go.
Well, you did reality TV.
I'll be in trouble with my
They
people
haven't
like
pressed
Biden.
me on a single thing. I'm loving this here.
He says, "Oh, I don't have that problem." But well, first of all, he would never. He couldn't do this interview. You asked him questions like this?
No, we were talking.
I think if you actually ask Joe Biden the question right now, he's so old he might actually turn into dust. Like I'm saying that if you're like Joe Biden, what did you eat this morning? He'd go, and then you'd be like, just gone. He would just turn into dust when he tried to think so much. So true. He's so fucking old, dude. Unlike Donald Trump, he's young as fuck. 78.
About that, we were like,
we'd like
he's so
send an
spry.
invite to Joe Biden if he'd like to come on this podcast.
Yeah, I think he should.
eventually.
You know what chance you have of getting him on? I'd say less than 1%. Okay, if you did that, it'd be interesting.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. That is true. He didn't even want to go on to the Super Bowl.
So there are two questions I have to ask.
Go ahead.
The first one's kind of fun. Aliens. I want to talk to you about aliens.
Yeah.
UFOs, UAPs.
I know.
The disclosure we've seen in Congress recently. It's confusing and upsetting a lot of Americans because there's something happening. There are unidentified aerial phenomena in the sky. We don't know what they are. Do you?
So it's such a question I do get a lot, and it's such an interesting question. I've met with pilots that look just like you, actually. Okay, they have more of a crew cut. Okay, they look like him and they look like you. Some of them look like you,
a little fatter.
but these are perfect people.
Okay,
and they're not
crazy.
Conspiratorial. They're not crazy. Yeah. And they tell me stories that they've seen things that you wouldn't believe. These are not people that you would say, "Gee, oh, that's okay."
Way. President of the United States.
But
I said,
who is it? That's Joe Biden wanting to do an interview.
I hope so.
I've met with pilots like beautiful Tom Cruise, but taller.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Handsome, perfect people. Sir, there was something there that was round in form and going like 4 times faster than my super jet fighter plane.
It was your mom.
And I look at these guys, and they really mean it.
Yeah.
And am I a believer? No, I can't say I am. But I have met with people that are serious people that say there's some really strange things that they see flying around out there. And, you know, if you go to Nevada and you look at that little section of where they go to look at the aliens, where they think all the aliens are landing, that, you know, it's maybe the number 1 tourist attraction in the United States.
Roswell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roswell. I think it's the number 1. It's the lines of people waiting. You have no idea how many times I'm asked that question.
But don't you have access to that information?
I have access, and I speak to people about it. I've had actually meetings on it, and they will tell you there's something going on. When they say things are going 4 times faster than my beautiful top-of-the-line airplane that goes...
Maybe Elon could get you guys there. You a fan of Elon Musk?
I think Elon might be good for this question. He's a terrific... You know, I looked at the ship that went up, the spaceship. And
I love ships.
I never saw this before. I saw this is, you know, like 2 years ago. I see the motors coming down, the engines coming down, no wings, no anything. And then I say, what is going on?
Yeah.
And nobody ever saw that before. And if you didn't have him, you probably wouldn't be seeing it, you know. And I called him, I said, what's that? He says, well, we want to be able to reuse the engines. I said, they don't have wings, they don't have anything, and they're landing on a platform in the middle of the ocean. I said, how cool is that? I thought I saw it all, but that was, no, he's a spectacular guy.
Well, I mean, between PayPal, Neuralink, Starlink, Tesla,
Yeah.
SpaceX,
and other.
Don't throw in PayPal there. Come on. He didn't make PayPal. He didn't make Tesla either.
Neuralink, Starlink, Tesla,
Yeah.
SpaceX,
and other things.
Yeah, no, he's probably one of the greatest minds of our generation.
AI, very big, you know.
He's possibly even the smartest man to ever exist.
Second question, because you know technology.
I think he should have 50 more
improving at a
babies.
rapid pace.
That's right.
At a pace humanity's never seen before, and the most recent development in technology that is alarming but also cool is artificial
He
intelligence.
bought all of those. Yeah, like, has he founded any companies? Like, the only company that he actually founded was the Boring Company, right? Is that it? He founded PayPal? I don't think that's true, as far as I remember. But I could be wrong. So he was one of the founders. Okay. He was one of the founders of PayPal. They did pay him to leave because he tried to change the name to X. And they thought it was a bad idea. And so they actually paid him to shut the fuck up and leave. Okay, I see. Yeah, he was one of the founders back in 1999. They turned PayPal to Leave Pal. You're right. He was one of the founders of PayPal. You're right. He was there. He was one of the guys who did it. That's really funny, actually. Leave Pal. Oh, that was so good. Crazy. Hey, let me see. Okay, no, he founded SpaceX, and he was one of the founders. He founded SpaceX. He was one of the founders of PayPal. And I believe he founded Neuralink and the Boring Company. He was not one of the founders of Tesla. That's not true. The most successful one, Tesla. That was not one that he founded. But I mean, SpaceX is another form of success, right? It's the only civilian company that is contracted to work with Tesla and send astronauts to the ISS. That's actually pretty crazy. It is also the number one company that has contributed to space pollution as well. So it is, There's gives and takes. There's definitely gives and takes there. It's curious stuff.
AI.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be eventually to a point where we're not able to tell what's real and what's fake. The era of truth, I believe, is probably slowly, unfortunately, coming to an end.
It's over.
As you come with receipts. What do you think the government's role in enabling, protecting, or governing AI should be in general? Should this superpower become what we believe it probably will be?
Well, it is a superpower, and you want to be right at the beginning of it, but it is very disconcerting. I said, you used the word alarming. It is alarming when I saw a picture of me promoting a product, and I could not tell. The voice was perfect. The lips moved perfectly with every word. The way you couldn't, if you were a lip reader, you'd say it's absolutely perfect. And that's scary, in particular, in one way. If you're the president of the United States and you announce that 13 missiles have been sent to, let's not use the name of a country, we have just sent 13 nuclear missiles heading to somewhere, and they will hit their targets in 12 minutes and 59 seconds. And you're that country, and there's no way of detecting. I asked Elon, is there any way that, like Russia or China, can say that that's not really President Trump? He said there's no way.
They'd have to rely on secondary first
have
alert
to, they have to
systems.
rely on a code that if you don't have a certain code, who the hell's going to check? You got like 12 minutes. And let's check the code. Oh, gee, how's everything doing? So what do they do when they see this, right? They have maybe a counterattack. It's so dangerous in that way. Okay. In another way, it's so incredible that what they do is so incredible. I've seen it. I just got back from San Francisco.
Just check the fingers. Now we have AI detectors that do a pretty decent job at picking up AI videos these days. That part is true. But they're always battling each other. I just think that's funny. He saw that video because what he's referring to is an AI generated video of him saying that he's going to be nuking a country, created by a conservative YouTuber to prove that AI is going crazy. So to prove that AI can be used to trick people. So he decided to make probably one of the most dangerous AI videos to ever exist, which was Donald Trump saying that he's nuking a country to scare people, to scare his audience. And they actually bought it. It was a bit worrisome. I'm not going to lie. It was not a good idea.
I met with incredible people in San Francisco, and we talked about this. This subject is hot on their plates, the super geniuses.
Yep.
And they gave me $12 million for the campaign, which, 4 years ago, they probably wouldn't.
Thank you.
We had thousands of people in the streets. You saw it. It just happened this last weekend.
Yep.
I met with incredible people, actually. And this is this is what everyone's talking about with all of the technology. These are the real technology people. They're talking about AI. And they showed me things, but I've seen things that are you wouldn't even think it's possible. But in terms of copycat, now, to a lesser extent, they can make a commercial. I saw this.
Yeah.
They made a commercial of me promoting a product, and it wasn't me. And I said, did I make that commercial? Did I forget that I made that commercial? It is so unbelievable. So it brings with it difficulty, but we have to be at the forefront. It's going to happen. And if it's going to happen, we have to take the lead over China. China is the primary threat in terms of that. And what they need more than anything else is electricity. They have to have electricity, massive amounts of electricity. I don't know if you know that. In order to do these, essentially it's a plant. And the electricity needs are greater than anything we've ever needed.
What the hell is he talking about? What the hell is he talking about, man? Wait, what is it?
Mr. President.
Probably not. I've been like...
Yep. Stepped up
So
to
he just
somebody
said that he had muscle, but not the...
Yep.
just no training. Just no training.
You ever been in a fist fight, Mr. President?
Probably not. I've been...
Probably not.
Jules, nothing like that. I mean, I'd like to say, I fought my way through school.
Right.
I fought my way out of the Wharton School of Finance. We didn't have a lot of fighters.
Yeah.
We have fighters, but not that kind of fighters.
He wouldn't remember. Probably not.
But I had a speech rewritten by AI out there. One of the top people. He said, "Oh, you're going to make a speech?" Yeah. He goes, click, click, click. And like 15 seconds later, he shows me my speech.
That's
written.
That's crazy.
So beautifully. I said,
Wait, Donald Trump is out here using ChatGPT for his stump speeches? He's using ChatGPT for his stump speech. He doesn't even have a speech writer anymore. He's wait, what an incredible, what a horrible admission. Wait, what? This explains a lot. Crazy if true. I went to my speechwriter and I went beep beep boop, and he got me my speech, and I saw my speech and I was like, it's a beautiful speech. Yo, what? It actually explains so much why his speeches are so weird. Oh man, he's gonna be oh my gosh, he's going to be the first ChatGPT. If he wins, he'll be the first ChatGPT president. Holy crap, every single time when he makes a mistake, he accidentally bombs a country, and then wait a second. Wait, I gotta pull this up. I gotta log in. I'm gonna log into my ChatGPT really quick. I haven't done this in a while. Yeah, here we go. Okay, let's go. I don't care. No, chill. Write a short apology speech for accidentally bombing the wrong country. Write a presidential short apology speech for accidentally bombing the wrong country. Okay, wait, here we go. Here we go. Perfect. It's my speech, chat. It's my speech. Thank you, ChatGPT. Yes. There we go. Perfect. My fellow citizens and the people of name of wrongly affected country. Today I stand before you with a heavy heart and deep sense of responsibility. Earlier this week, a grave error occurred during a military operation, resulting in the accidental bombing of wrongly affected country. This mistake has caused significant harm and suffering to innocent people, and for that, I am profoundly sorry. Oh, I'm very sorry. I did not mean for this to happen. ChatGPT president. He wants to be it. He wants to be that number one. That's actually blowing my mind. How he's like, we need to be really careful with AI. And now he admitted to using ChatGPT for he got too comfortable in this interview. ChatGPT speeches for a real presidential candidate. ChatGPT speeches. I'm actually blown away, dude. This is more egregious than some 15-year-old trying to scam his way through English class with his 3.5 times 12-point font, double spaced Times New Roman MLA format essay that he has to write. So he wants to play Helldivers instead of actually writing. It's actually blowing my mind. Would it be worse if the president was ChatGPT or a Twitch streamer? Listen, if he was a Twitch streamer, he may say some bullshit, but at least it would be his own words. At least it'd be something he actually said. This is what happens when you can't afford ghostwriters. Do you think that's what's going to happen to Drake these days? Instead of hiring ghostwriters, he's going to have to start to hire ChatGPT. Oh, nah, dude. Trump, after this interview, Trump was feeling himself a little too hard.
I actually tell our people, we don't need your vote. We got so many votes, we don't need them. We just don't want to see vote stolen. We don't want to say, steal the vote. We're not letting it happen. We're not going to let it happen. It's not happening again. Our country can't take it, and we're not going to let it happen.
Actually, I tell my voters, don't vote. I don't need your vote, because if you vote, your vote will get stolen. So don't vote. We have enough votes. He's such a good politician, man. He's so good at what he does. Holy crap, he's so good. Holy. He literally made the old memes true. He really did. It's so funny. Wait, he's having a speech like right now, or at least he was. This is him reading off his ChatGPT speech they gave him.
And I'll take care of you. Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman. Sighed the vicious snake, and I'll take care of.
Thank you. Thank you, Trump. Thank you, Trump. This guy has what it takes to save this country, man. Oh yeah, Trump is so back. He's doing speeches a lot more now, and he's so back.
I gave you record tax cuts, record inflation was knocked out. We had inflation like you've never had it, and
he's so back. He's so back. Oh man. Now that's the Trump that I remember. That's the Trump that I remember. Yeah, wild softball interview. Somehow he still kind of bombed it too, which is really funny. He said I had my speeches made by ChatGPT. Look at this shit-eating grin. Wait a second.
I'm going to use this sucker. I've never seen anything like it. He shows me my speech. Click, click.
Wait.
People. He said, "Oh, you're going to make a speech?" Yeah. He goes, click, click, click. And like 15 seconds later, he shows me my speech.
That's crazy.
Written.
That's crazy.
So beautifully, I said, "I'm going to use this sucker. I'm going to use. I've never seen anything like it."
What'd you say to your speechwriter after that?
You're fired.
You're fired.
Yeah, I said, "You're fired, Vince. Get the hell out of here." No. This was so crazy. It took it, and it made it unbelievable. And it's so fast. You just say, "I'm writing a speech about these two young, beautiful men that are great fighters and sort of great at a lot of things, and tell me about them and say some nice things," and period. And then that comes out. Logan in particular is a great champion.
Yeah.
Jake is also good. See, I'm doing that only because you happen to.
I appreciate that.
But no, it comes out with the most beautiful writing.
He really is.
So,
he really is the ChatGPT president. He really is the ChatGPT president, huh? That's actually him. These beautiful men. Write me a beautiful speech about these beautiful men, beautiful GPT. Yo, forget the age of the teleprompter president. Get ready for the ChatGPT president. This is what's happening. He's so lazy.
one industry I think that will be gone are these wonderful speechwriters.
He's actually like, I'm getting rid of my speechwriter, man. I kind of want this to happen. I want the final leg of the campaign trail to be Donald Trump firing Vince, his speechwriter, and writing his own speeches in ChatGPT with ChatGPT. I can't even tell you how on board I would be for that. It's so funny. It's so funny. The ChatGPT president. You go, ChatGPT guy. Go ahead. Have ChatGPT write you another. Have ChatGPT write you another speech, man. How you gonna reply to this? Have ChatGPT do it. You don't even need to speak anymore. Just have ChatGPT write the speech and then put it through a Donald Trump voice, and then put it through a Donald Trump AI voice modifier, and then just have that guy say the voice, and then just give it to Fox News or something, and he could chill out all day. It's so easy being the president now. Oh my gosh, who could have seen this coming?